Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We're here to look at Superman 3 from 1983. I'm Joe Gould. I'm here with Adam Winters. And this was the first time I believe that I've seen this movie.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I watched 1 and 2 multiple times with the intent to getting the 3 and 4. This was in a pre-streaming world, and I didn't own 3 or 4. So just never had a good chance to watch them.
Well, I like it. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, what did they say?
They say it's a travesty. They say it jumped the shark. It ruined the brand. It sullied the good name of the Christopher Reeve epic Superman films.
Well, I don't know if I agree. I like the movie for the most part. It's funny. It's like Superman 1, everyone loves that movie. And I always remember saying it's a good movie, but overrated. And then 2 couldn't get out of its own way for a lot of reasons behind the scenes. So you got 2 versions of the movie, and they're both kind of They're almost good, but not quite. At least this one, you got a clean tone, you know?
Well, the tone definitely, arguably right up until the end, where people get very creeped out by that climax with the computer.
Oh, Brainiac?
It should be, shouldn't it? I talked about
I believe
that
it
when we
is.
talked about Superman Returns. If the Salkinds had the balls, they would have made this thing Brainiac, but they didn't.
So I believe it was, though. Let me find my note. This was, I believe you have to freeze frame it, just to be clear.
You're saying this is the first appearance of Brainiac on film? I don't believe you.
Allegedly, there is a placard on Gus's computer which has the name Brainiac.
That's urban legend as far as I'm concerned. But I guess that's, now that you've put that out there.
Now, I don't know if it's on the supercomputer, but there is a computer out there that apparently has a placard that says Brainiac. And it does make sense since Brainiac was initially going to be in this movie.
Who decided he wasn't going to be in the movie? Warner Brothers, DC Comics editorial staff, the Salkinds, Richard Lester, Richard Pryor.
Well,
who done it?
It sounds like in 1980, the producer Salkind, some kind of format or treatment, or I don't know if it was a full script, but it included Brainiac, Mr. Mablislik, whatever you say, and Supergirl. Mitzel Spitlick, yeah.
Mixie Spitlick.
We were all going to be in this movie, and there was going to be a 4th movie, and Brainiac raises Supergirl, and then wants to marry her, and she doesn't want to. And then at some point by the end of the 4th, yeah, and then by the end of the 4th movie, Superman and Supergirl get married.
No, that's a bad idea. They somewhat related.
I'm not sure that they're related in this universe. Am I wrong on that?
I forget.
Other than being of the same species.
I really thought she used the term cousin. Well, she introduces herself in the girls' school as the cousin of Clark. But if she really believes that, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, in that movie, I mean, and it ended up going a different route anyways. And then Mr. Multiplic, I don't know if that would have been Richard Pryor or not. That would have been something.
That'd be all right. That'd be out of sight, man. Out of sight.
But shockingly, they decided that script was a little too busy and probably too expensive. So then we get this.
This script wasn't too busy? I think there's at least 3 or 4 different plots. I guess I should call them plans. Like the villains move the movie along because they're the one making plans. There's at least 3 in this, maybe more.
I prefer to say this is a movie of skits, back to back to back to back. It reminds me of a Monty Python, Holy Grail kind of movie.
Probably the cleanest comedy Richard Pryor ever did.
Possibly the only one. But yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Did you know he hosted a Saturday morning cartoon block in the mid-'80s?
Did he do drugs on it?
I've never seen his segments, but it was like 84, and it was a programming block, maybe NBC, and so, I don't know, maybe you had Pac-Man, the Saturday Supercade, the Snorkels or something, not the Smurfs, the Snorks.
The Snorkels. I remember watching that show. It was on, they would do reruns on USA, and it would be on there around the same time the Ninja Turtles were. I enjoyed that show. I don't know if you can buy that today.
Which one?
The Snorkels or Snorks, whatever.
The Snork should be fine. The Saturday Supercade is beset by all the various licenses they had to get from all the different game companies. So that'll probably never be officially released in good quality. But some of the other stuff... You can find
some of them on YouTube. But
not in good quality.
When I was reading it, it wasn't entirely clear whether or not they had all the rights when they did it. So
that's also very true. Very good possibility.
But yeah, so this was Superman 3. The screenplay was by David and Leslie Newman. It is obviously the 3rd installment of the Superman series, and it has most of the actors who came before, minus Lex Luthor, and Lois Lane has a glorified cameo at the beginning and the end.
What an odd way to use Margot Kidder. Do you have the backstory of why she appeared in the film but didn't want to do anything in it? Was she doing?
Well, I don't think it's well, urban legend. Obviously, she's gone now. I don't know if she ever spoke about this in interviews to much extent because she was back in 4, right?
Yes, but not much. But she is in it.
Yeah. So allegedly, she got a lot of heat from the studio because she publicly criticized how they treated Richard Donner.
Yeah, she was. But Reeve was a big Donner supporter too. But okay.
The studio said that they just basically wanted a different female character because they felt they had focused too much on the Superman Lois Lane relationship in the first 2 movies, which is probably fair, and it's probable that all these things are true. They did need to take a step back from Lois Lane. She spoke up and ran her mouth too much, and who knows if she was doing a bunch of extracurriculars at the time. So, anyways.
Once you end your second movie with a forgetful kiss, where do you take the storyline between Lois and Clark after that point? They've slept together, but he gives her a forgetful kiss. I mean, where do you go with that?
I mean, I don't know, because we hated how they did the forgetful kiss, so it's kind of tricky. If they had not done the forgetful kiss, then they have a new dynamic,
Yeah,
excuse me, in this movie, where they know each other.
it
And I
could
think
be
that
interesting.
works.
Yeah,
Now, in this movie, I don't know exactly how you work Lois into the movie while maintaining most of the plot.
no, I have an idea, but I can save it for later when I critique this movie in various ways.
Okay, well, let's critique the movie. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, I say this about a lot of Superman media, whether it's a video game, whether it's an episode, let's say, maybe it's an episode of the Justice League cartoon, comic book, what have you. There can be stuff that I think is good and that I enjoy, but not necessarily good use of Superman. And I think we've said that a lot with things like Godzilla, right? We're okay with that 1998 Sony movie as a giant monster movie, but not as a great Godzilla movie. So I would say this is very close to being a Richard Pryor movie that has Superman in it. And I enjoy it, but Superman occasionally feels like a guest character in his own movie. That's number one critique. I'll start with that.
I think that's fair, and I think probably the big critique from this movie is the villains just really aren't that enticing. So when Richard Pryor's pretending or trying to be a villain, he's very entertaining. I'm into it. But the actual 2 baddies, I could kind of do without.
By the 2 baddies, you mean the twins?
Are they supposed to be twins? See, that's the thing. They're so forgetful, I don't even know their names. I'm looking them up right now. It looks like we got Ross and Vera Webster.
The Websters. Okay. Again, you would have thought they could have picked another evil businessman type from the source material if they wanted to.
Or just don't have them in the movie and have Richard Pryor create Brainiac.
What a brilliant idea. Simplify. So on that point, Richard Pryor's character, who I think his name is Gus. Am I right about Gus?
Well, they say Gus. It's actually August, but yeah, Gus.
Okay, Augustus. He's a computer prodigy that has no idea why he knows how to do what he does.
Well, so when I'm looking at these computer programming, I'm putting programming in air quotes. Like they're following a menu.
Nobody knew how to do that in the early 80s, Joe.
Apparently, everyone else in this movie has the computer knowledge of an old grandma on Facebook.
Even the guy who's teaching the computer programmers at Webster's company.
Yeah, because all he does is go in and say, please do this, please do that. I'll use my little touch screen, which I feel like didn't exist yet.
Yeah, there was technology for that. The little wand he uses, or the electronic pen.
That would have been like a $30,000 pen back in the day.
But he works for the big company now. He can make
$120 a week
after tax.
Yeah. But anyways, he should have just ripped off the money like Office Space for a few months, bought all his computer parts, made his Brainiac. Brainiac goes rogue, a la Ultron. This could have been the proto-Ultron movie. Would have worked.
What you're describing is a much better and simpler plot that could have easily worked with this movie. I mean, if you want to bring in Richard Pryor and you want to focus on him, just go all in with Richard Pryor. Make him the guy that Superman has to contend against.
Well, and really, I think you keep his character arc the same. Like, he's not really a villain. Brainiac goes rogue, doesn't do what he's supposed to, tries to kill Superman. Like, I don't think he has to be the ultimate villain, but as a jacked up Tony Stark, I mean, I think it works.
So you mentioned Office Space already, and the whole plot with the half cents that I think Office Space was directly inspired by Superman 2, if I remember.
3, but yeah.
Yeah, 3, whatever. I mean, it's good. It's just, it feels like it comes out of nowhere. So the only reason when he gets the money, the butler tells Mr. Webster it's missing, and they say we don't have any way of knowing who could do it unless they're a real idiot that shows off. And of course, Richard Pryor drives up in an August, maybe a Ferrari. I didn't get a good look at the car, but nice little sports car.
Yeah, I don't know why they went that route and acting like they couldn't figure out where the money went. They had a check
It's a
that was
paycheck.
cashed
Yeah,
for the exact amount.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they have him work for him anyway.
Yeah. There's a whole lot that they could have done with that. Well, even just the idea that maybe there's a reason he doesn't remember why he's a computer programming prodigy. You know, maybe he got amnesia and he's been living off the streets on government assistance for 35 weeks, 36 weeks. Again, with the Brainiac saying that could have gone somewhere. This one is just really weird the way they set him up as a character. Like, where does he come from? What's his deal that allows him just to magically use menus that nobody else in 1983 knew how to do?
Yeah, I mean, the whole opening of the movie, this is, I guess, the only Superman movie that doesn't open with space. But the opening credits are basically slapstick events after events of people getting themselves in silly situations and mechanical penguins on fire and Clark Kent.
That probably influenced Batman Returns and Danny DeVito Penguin.
Maybe. I feel like we almost have to do mechanical penguins on fire when we rate this movie. But
I like the opening. I just think it's really weird they use the text like you're going through space, but you're not. And I get the feeling it just isn't balanced properly on the musical cues. So when you see the word Superman 3 and the music crescendos, I think you ought to at least be able to see Clark Kent, but it doesn't do that at that precise moment, as I remember.
No, I think you're right. It was an entertaining opening that really served no purpose other than not to show space.
And to get Jimmy Olsen in trouble because he didn't take good photos.
Yeah. Which standout performance for Jimmy Olsen in this movie. Oh, Mark McClure. I liked him. He works in slapstick.
So, oddly enough, they tried to write him into the plot and then immediately wrote him out of the plot, only to cut back into him at various points in the movie that served no purpose for the plot.
No, it makes me think that because they weren't using Lois, they had to add Jimmy into a few of the scenes with Clark when he was doing his official news business. That's my guess. I mean, I don't really know.
Yeah, so Jackie Cooper's in this movie more than you would think he would be if they're not going to bring back Lois Lane.
Though only in the office, and they probably filmed all his scenes in one day, if I had to guess.
And he has a secretary that they have some kind of a raffle they're doing, and there's a subplot with a couple that wins it and then goes on vacation, and the guy breaks his neck. Columbia. Oh, Columbia. That is Mr. Webster's first big plot in this movie. He wants to control the Colombian export trade of a certain valuable commodity that starts with a C.
And it ain't Coke. Coffee.
Do you think that was just their wink wink at the audience? Were they just making fun? Like, yo, you thought we were going to go cocaine. No, he wants coffee.
I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past this movie, and I also wouldn't want to give anything in this movie too much credit.
Oh man, I might be skipping ahead, but are we going to talk about the coffee plot, or we need to talk about anything else like Jackie Cooper or Jimmy Olsen?
In terms of the plot, you got old Gus. He embezzles about $85,000 from the company by taking off half cents. Yeah, in 1 week.
But he goes back to work. You know, to be fair, he's going to go back to work the next day.
I think he's going to do it again, but. So the Websters, the dictionary people, they figure it out, and then they basically, they kind of blackmail him, but it's really not. But they hire him. Yeah, so they hire him to use the computers in their company to control the cocaine market in Colombia, and then after that, they're going to try to
control
the oil market.
Hold on now. They're not.
Go ahead.
They're not trying to take over the Colombian market. They're trying to wreck it so that nobody else can get the C material out of Colombia.
Yeah. But so anyways, they hire him to take down Colombia, and then they hire him to control the oil market. And then he uses all that information and the fact that he knows all this stuff and they need him to leverage them to say, I'll do the oil thing, but you have to supply and build and pay for this super Brainiac computer. So that's broad strokes to the plot. But
why is Gus worried? Why does Gus want a Brainiac computer?
he wants to do whatever he wants to do.
He can already do that. He's proven it, right?
It's a little back and forth. It's not clean, so to speak.
So we should add something when Gus takes over the weather satellite, and for some reason he needs to go to Smallville to do it, and he has no meaningful interaction with anybody but Brad, who we haven't. I guess we've talked about Brad at some point, and he gets his crotch smashed by Clark Kent opening a car door. Why do they put him in Smallville other than to give Brad a stupid scene?
Well, so they're going to use the satellite to wreck Columbia, because in this movie, satellites don't monitor whether they control it.
Maybe they do in real life too. I
don't think they did in 1983, but so they send them to Smallville because they recognize that eventually the government's going to figure out people got into their satellite, and they don't want it tracked back to the main company. So they have a subsidiary kind of LLC kind of thing in Smallville. I forget what it's called.
What are the odds? What are the odds of that? I mean, it's so convenient, but it doesn't really have to be, because there's no plot payoff for Gus going to Smallville, other than to say he went to Smallville.
Correct. I mean, he goes back later, but he could have gone to Smallville for the first time later. It would have been a big deal.
Yeah.
So while all that's going on, Lois goes on vacation. That's how they write her out of the movie. She'll come back.
Bermuda, baby.
Yeah. And then Superman convinces Perry White to let him go do a story in Smallville about his high school reunion.
Lame.
Yeah. And he takes Jimmy with him.
Lame.
And when he's in Smallville, he reconnects with, is it Lana or Lana? What's official?
I always heard it as Lana.
Okay. So Lana Lang, who has a kid named Ricky.
Little Ricky.
Yeah. And a ex-boyfriend named named Brad. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the father or not.
No, they say early on, Clark says, I heard you and Donald split up. So it suggests Donald is the father of little Ricky.
Okay.
But Donald is not in this movie.
I guess that's just so there's no pressure on her to actually date him. Maybe that's the better way of saying it.
Yeah, Brad is in this movie a lot for, again, having no bearing on the plot, other than he's the guy that Gus had to get drunk like a skunk to take over the satellite.
Yeah. And so Brad is an ex-boyfriend from back in the day. Seems like he bullied Clark as well.
He's like the original Uncle Rico, except he actually was put in. Coach did put him in the fourth quarter.
And so there's this subplot of Clark acting like a father to little Ricky.
Maybe he's his father, too.
Maybe. And he pretends to be friends with Superman, and Superman meets them a couple times. It's kind of convoluted. It's really messed up. And then Superman comes to his birthday party and gets the key to the city. And then another subplot we kind of skipped was Gus is told by the Websters to make kryptonite using the satellite information. He mostly does.
This is good. I like this.
Yeah, this is good. So when they do the reading, the computer can't determine what 0.5 of 1% is. It's unknown. So he's looking at his pack of cigarettes and decides it's tar.
I like this. He doesn't tell Mr. Webster, this is where we're at. See if anybody else can figure this out. He just says 0.5%. Who cares? So I like to think. You remember how Richard Donner, the older he got, he would be really in your face about don't do animal furs and don't do tobacco, cigarettes, and all that. You remember those disclaimers? Yeah. So to me, this is Richard Lester throwing a little bone to Richard Donner. Not only as we heard it so many times from people like Ernest P. Worrell, cigarettes will kill you. No, in this movie, tar doesn't kill you. It makes you into a bad person. That's what it does to Superman.
Yeah. So Gus pretends to be a general and present Superman with this rock at the same time he's getting the key to the city. And it doesn't kill him, so they're a little disappointed in that. But later on, it makes him basically a jerk.
It darkens his color palette somehow.
Yeah, we have a cameo of Zack Snyder's Superman here.
Oh man, we totally do. This is probably his favorite scene in the movie.
Probably is. Inspiration for Henry Cavill. What do you know?
Man.
And this new mean Superman is more interested in putting his hands on Lana. than saving a bus hanging off the side of a building or a truck or whatever it was.
I will say this. This movie is hilarious if you were just to cut it up into individual snippets.
Yeah, skits.
If you were just to break this movie up into no context skits, it would be hilarious. Just Superman being a jerk.
No, it's something else, and this is a real mean Superman. So he blows out the Olympic torch or the runner's torch before he lights the big torch. Yeah, so he's bored and does that, and then he fixes the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
See, he's doing a good thing there, isn't he?
Yeah, and then he doesn't do much else. He drinks a lot and flicks beer nuts into bottles of liquor, and that's about it. He's not really that bad. He's just not real good.
He still does his Superman job. He's just kind of grumpy about it. Or else he'll get there and he's like, "Why do you want me to help you?" Even though he's already there.
Yeah. Then we have the of the 4 movies, the second occurrence of Superman sleeping with somebody and it probably being a bad idea.
Do we know for sure that happened?
Yeah, we're pretty sure. Yeah.
This is Miss Teschmacher, but not Miss
Lorelei.
Teschmacher?
Yeah, Miss Lorelei.
Boy, they really copy and pasted the whole Lex Luthor, Miss Teschmacher, maybe not Otis from the first few films, but if Mr. Webster... I think Mr. Webster kind of out Lex Luthor's Lex Luthor a little bit with the whole shady businessman schemes.
Well, they definitely give him a better set and a ski on top of a building. Or a ski resort on top of a building. It's absurd.
Richard. We forgot Richard Pryor goes all the way down the building. Jackie Chan did that in 1999 or something, and everybody thought it was the greatest stunt ever. Nobody gives Richard Pryor credit for skiing down a building
with a pink Superman cape.
Oh man. Okay, let me talk about one thing on that Richard Pryor ski jump. This is one of those complaints I have about the movie. This was right after he set the satellite to send all the crazy weather to Colombia. So it would make sense for this movie to give us an action scene, just cut to an action scene of Superman going to do it. But instead, we get after the fact, and Richard Pryor going up to the Websters and explaining to them what Superman did with flashbacks.
It's not my fault.
And I'm just thinking, why does the movie do it that way? Why does it undercut its own momentum to give us Superman action sequences in real time like we're experiencing it?
Yeah, I assume budget-related things, but I don't know. If it's not the budget, I don't know.
I mean, but they show the flashbacks of Superman actually doing stuff. It's not great, but it is in there.
I don't know. I mean, I agree. So, mean Superman eventually fixes himself. And this scene is probably one of the more praised scenes in the movie, though I don't know why you like it if you don't like the rest of the movie.
It's a weird one, in my opinion. Yeah, go ahead.
So, little Ricky tells Superman, "You're still a good guy. You just had a bad day.
You're in a slump. You can be great again.
Yeah.
Make Superman great again."
So then Superman, I guess he has a nervous breakdown. I don't know. But he splits up into 2 parts. You got the evil Zack Snyder Superman, and you got Clark Kent in his business suit, though with Superman powers. And they get into a big fight at a dumpster, and I guess Clark kills Superman.
What's a junkyard? Where they're going to...
I'm sorry, junkyard.
Compact the cars.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So Superman, he threw Clark into the car compactor somehow.
Yeah, and he crunches, and Clark busts out and then chokes evil Superman to death.
So again, a Snyder influence. The original Superman choked to death.
And by choke to death, I mean he evaporates.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get a neck snap in there. That would have really sold the emotion of that sequence.
Yeah. And then Clark takes off his shirt and reveals his brightly colored Superman suit underneath.
He changes clothing very weird in this movie. Do you notice a few of those shots where he just kind of runs and he morphs into his Superman? Maybe it's the idea is he's just changing faster than we can comprehend. But
I think that's the spirit of what they're going for. I think they did it once or twice in 2 as well. Maybe not as obvious, but
they usually try to hide it in different ways or just get the shirt opening. You know, Richard Pryor does that bit where he pops the shirt open, but how does he know that's what Superman does in this universe? I'm being real pedantic here, but Richard Pryor has never seen Clark Kent changed into Superman unless he's forgotten about it.
It would have been funny if he had noticed that Clark Kent looked just like Superman.
But just kind of brushed it off, like, "Hey man, anybody ever tell you?" Something like that. Yeah.
Or even figured out his identity. But
that he would be the guy to do it.
The movie climaxes with like a video game sequence. You had mentioned Atari earlier. You want to talk about that?
Well, they're in the credits because Atari Games worked all these visual I guess they're visual effects. It's not like it's a real video game, but it was somehow put together for the movie. And I was thinking this movie probably spent most of its budget on two sequences. Number one is when the computer begins to take over the power grid, and we get a shot of a stoplight, or I should say it's more of a walking light. So there's a green man and a red man, and the red man leaves his little square to climb up and beat up the green man on the crosswalk sign. Did you notice that? That's a little bit unusual for movies like this, 84.
No, I did. Do I sound different now?
You sound very different. You sound like the twisted version of Superman.
All right, I'm going to stop and restart because it turned off my echo cancellation again. And we're back. Technology is a real pain sometimes. Apparently, it's not progressed as much from 1983 as you would think.
Yeah, this movie reminds me a whole lot of artificial intelligence taking over. In fact, I'd say with all the various plot threads that this movie wants to introduce, the coffee, the weather satellite, the oil, the supercomputer, Lois, Lana. I'd say it feels like it's sort of written by an AI stream of consciousnness, one prompt after another, going off in weird directions. Evil Superman.
No, it's an odd movie. The AI is I mean, you really didn't have AI back in the day. I mean, the closest thing you have is what, the Atari 2600?
Oh,
the Intellivision?
there was real
ColecoVision?
computers, Joe. Come on now. We're not talking about lowbrow stuff like Atari.
Oh, you'd have the computers that could do anything useful were like the size of a warehouse.
Yeah, that's what.
I mean,
When they build that supercomputer, it reminds me a lot of the nuclear reactor in the Batcave in the Adam West Batman show.
okay. No, there's some Batman 66 in this show, that's for sure. Brainiac. What do you think of Brainiac? We'll call him Brainiac.
Yeah, I wish it didn't show up until the last 20 minutes of the movie. And maybe I'm being generous, because this is a 2-hour movie. And it's in the movie for maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like they decided that their villains weren't good enough and they kind of threw in the computer at the end almost.
The computer should at least have a voice. I don't think it ever speaks, even when it maybe gets a vessel in Vera.
That's when you really had Brainiac right there.
Oh, it's a great design. I love Robo Vera. And the movie wants us to believe that she was back to normal and just taken up by the police. I find that harder to believe, that she just went back to normal after that was over.
I don't know why they're so afraid to kill anybody in this movie.
Huh.
Like, why wouldn't she just be dead? Like, what's the harm? We're not bringing these villains back. I mean,
What kind of rating did they get? What is this, a PG rating, which was a lot more generous? Or
I'm sure it's PG.
You could do a lot in PG in the early 80s.
Yeah. No, they could have done a lot worse and kept the PG rating, but I don't know. Yeah, so this computer becomes self-aware. Initially, they're using it to try to kill Superman. That's where you have the Atari animation scenes incorporated.
It looks real expensive to me. And like I said, other than the stoplight sequence, that looks like they spent most of their budget on the Atari animation that looks video game-like.
Yeah, I have a note that it was around $100,000 to $120,000 budget for that scene.
Man, is it worth it?
I mean, maybe. That doesn't seem too crazy for what it's worth. I mean, I'm not sure what the budget was in this movie, but it made $80 million worldwide, so.
Oh, you said 100,000? Well, if that's all it took to make this movie a box office success, I'd say well worth it for Atari.
Yeah, I don't know that it was a success, but, you know.
Did not prevent the video game arcade crash from 83, 84.
Yeah. So anyways, they use a bunch of rockets in that little Atari scene. They don't really stop Superman. He gets there, the machine becomes self-aware and kind of does its own thing, decides to take everybody out. And then ultimately, Superman goes back to a scene that we skipped and retrieves some acid. Apparently, the machine wasn't smart enough to know what it would do, and he basically burns it up. Boom.
Well, there's the idea that, boy, it sure reminds me of Mood Slime in Ghostbusters 2. Did you get that impression at all either?
No, it didn't seem to act a lot like acid at the end. We'll just say that.
Because the idea is that if it ever gets hot enough, it will create an ecological crisis that will take out half of the eastern seaboard or something like that. There's a mule scene where Richard Pryor has a lot of fun with a mule, which, as I say it, sounds inappropriate, but, yeah, okay.
It was PG. It was PG. Now, and apparently this chemical explosion doesn't cause any lasting effects on anyone's lungs either, but I don't know. So then, basically, the bad guys get arrested with the exception of Gus, who Superman does not turn in, flies him, drops him off in West Virginia. gets him a job that he doesn't take. And then the movie ends with Lana moving to Metropolis to be Perry White's secretary with little Ricky. Clark beats up the boyfriend one more time.
What a weird dynamic that would have been if they wanted to put Lana Lang in the Daily Planet with Lois Lane. It'd be LL versus LL.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should have done that for what it's worth, but...
Huh.
And then the movie ends with Superman fixing the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
And that guy isn't happy either way. He makes a diamond for Lana Lang out of a piece of coal when he drops Gus off at the factory. He just crushes it into the biggest diamond in the world, probably.
Yeah, and you think he's going to propose or something, but no, he's just replacing the one that she sold at a pawn shop back in the day.
Isn't that what Brad assumes when he walks in, for some reason, in a Metropolis apartment?
Yeah. It's a lot of odd stuff in this movie.
AI composition. It's an AI script.
So we've talked about the tone of the movie. We've talked about the villains a little bit. Clark Kent, I feel like Christopher Reeve plays him different in this movie.
I think he wants to be Clark for the first time because he's back home again and he's reconnecting.
He seems very confident in himself. Like, he doesn't act like he does in Metropolis, where he's the bumbling idiot.
If you remember the original Donner film, this Clark Kent did not exist in Smallville because all that happened after he graduated and his father died, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He did not invent this version of Clark Kent until after he left Smallville. So it's weird because everybody in high school would have remembered him as that guy, not necessarily as the klutz, just as the guy who was probably somewhat antisocial and a little bit jaded because the jocks were mistreating him.
I mean, I find that Christopher Reeve's a real big guy. He's like towering over all these people that were allegedly his bullies.
It's because he wears glasses and he greases his hair. That's what it is.
I think he had greased hair back in the day, according to the pictures.
Not in Smallville. We didn't see that in the growing up sequences.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the way he's playing Clark Kent, but I'm saying it is a little bit different in this movie compared to the previous ones.
He still keeps that klutz angle up, which is funny because do you think he hit Gus on accident with that car door? Or do you think he just intentionally hit him with the car door?
I think that goes back to the tripping over the rug in Superman 2. I just don't think it's possible for Superman to accidentally hit somebody.
At least not when he's in control of his powers. You know, he's seasoned, right?
It's not that he might... I mean, if he's doing something, he might misjudge the impact of it. But he's not going to not know someone's walking up.
All that super hearing and everything. Maybe he's distracted by something else.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I had an idea on what to do with Lois for this movie. When she comes back into the office at the end of the movie, do you remember what she says? Like her experiences on her Bermuda trip?
Well, she uncovered this big story, right?
Yeah, she busted up a crime ring. She apparently got kidnapped, thrown in somebody's car at one point. Now, let me ask you, Joe, if you've got all these actors under contract, Jackie Cooper and Jimmy Olsen and Margot Kidder, and you decide we're going to make a movie about Superman in Smallville and Richard Pryor, but while all those important scenes are taking place, we're going to cut in the middle of dialogue to a completely different set with completely different actors and a subplot that doesn't go anywhere. Would you rather see Perry White's sweepstakes adventures, or would you rather see a little bit of Lois Lane's crazy Bermuda adventure, busting up this crime ring all by herself?
You know, it would have fit in this movie.
It wouldn't have to
this
be
movie's
much.
Everywhere anyways.
It would play with the audience to just assume Superman's going to come save her, but she just takes care of the whole situation herself somehow.
No, it would have been interesting. I think you're onto something there.
It's weird because the most interesting part of the movie is what Lois said she did off screen when she gets back. That's the most interesting plot in this movie. And you're wondering too, because it's a little bit of a national story when Superman goes bad, isn't it? I don't know how long he's a bad guy, but it's in all the papers, and different governments of the world are censuring Superman. And you're wondering, boy, Lana Lang is going all the way to Metropolis. Why not Lois Lane coming back? And that's a perfect explanation for why she doesn't get involved in the Superman story. She's very busy with something in Bermuda.
No, I think you're right. I think that works. As long as you can trim 15 minutes out of the rest of the movie, so it's not 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Well, we could cut the oil plot, the whole deal with the oil liner, and...
So why are all these movies so long? Like all four of them plus Supergirl. It's like, why do we have to have something over 2 hours?
I wonder if
Like,
there was a TV cut too that was even longer. I've never
there
seen that.
was. There was. It's never really been released. It might be on your DVD you were talking about. I think
Maybe.
the added scenes were part of they called them deleted scenes on one of the special editions. But they really weren't deleted. They were produced for the ABC show.
Should have been Lois
But
Lane's subplot. Bring Margot Kidder in for some exclusive
that would have been
scenes.
fun. That would have
Oh
been fun.
man,
That would have been then make that the TV show version of it. Yeah, that would work. That would work.
I like it.
So you got anything else to add about this movie?
I do like it. I just don't. I wish it had more focus. I don't necessarily want it to be more epic than it was, even though working Brainiac in would have been brilliant. But I don't need a space epic. To me, this movie feels like it's setting the groundwork up for something more consequential to follow. But if it did, we'll never know. Because beyond this is Superman 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing epic in this movie. You have the Superman where he fights himself scene.
That's okay. It's a smaller personal story. It works with him trying to rediscover Clark Kent, going back to Smallville. I think it's weird there's no scenes with his mother, Mrs. Kent, who I assume is still supposed to be alive in this movie.
No, they mentioned she died.
Did they?
Yeah, it was at the reunion.
Wow, okay. So that really makes this impossible for a Superman Returns continuity, because she's very much alive in the beginning of Superman Returns.
Yeah. I think one of the problems with this movie, and it goes back to the villains, is like you got the Brainiac computer for about 15 minutes, but the world's never really at risk in this movie. There's really no, I mean, Columbia, okay, whatever, but that got fixed off screen. And then the world thing really was just one ship. So it's just, we don't see the stakes. Maybe that's what
It's funny because when Mr. Webster gets upset at Superman, his only goal is killing Superman. A very Lex Luthor approach, but his goal then becomes purely killing Superman, and that's really the only person who's in danger when the computer is built, because the computer has a built-in ability to diagnose the weakness of any body and immediately create that weakness. And in Superman's case, it's a kryptonite ray beam, even though it's manufactured kryptonite energy, not kryptonite rock. Huh.
Well, the problem with the kryptonite was they should have built the computer first. They were using the ColecoVision to make the kryptonite rock the first time instead of the Atari.
Oh, man.
So actually, I think it was the satellite. I don't know. It's
The
not
movie
supposed to be good science.
The movie just figures out what it wants to do for the next skit. Just a sequence of skits.
Pretty much. So this could have been a really good movie. It'd still be absurd. Like, they didn't have to take that part out. It could have been really good. Instead, it's entertaining. Good's probably a strong word.
Yeah. So I think when most people hate on this movie, they hate on it for not being an epic. They don't hate on it for the weird plot decisions that just follow one after another.
So, how do we rate this one? Mechanical Penguins?
We could go tar kryptonite, kryptotar, kryptar rocks.
There's got to be a more clever way to say it.
We could do what bridge?
Kryptonian cigarettes?
Kryptonian cigarettes. I do like that. Yeah.
Or kryptonite cigarettes, whatever you want to call it.
Cryptorets.
Cryptorets. Right. Kryptonian cigarettes. How many packs do you give this movie?
I give it 3 packs out of 5. I enjoy watching it every time I watch it. It boggles my mind why it's 2 hours long and why they make the decisions they make. But I like what they were going for. Whether that's a credit to Richard Lester or whoever. 3 out of 5 Cryptoret packs.
Okay. I'm probably going to surprise you here. I'm going to do 3.5.
Woo! Man.
I didn't expect to enjoy this movie. And I'm giving it 3.5 on an entertainment factor. I'm not suggesting that this is actually a very good movie as a whole. But I like Monty Python. I like skits. I think this does a real good job. I think Pryor's great, even though a lot of people didn't like him being in the movie.
Yeah.
And I expected to hate the movie. I knew it was long, but it never got to the point where it's like, okay, this thing needs to speed up. Like, each skit was entertaining enough, so to speak.
I never thought it was committing any kind of crime against humanity, like I did with the Bryan Singer movie.
I didn't expect to see Zack Snyder's Superman. Maybe it's getting a half pack for free here, because that wouldn't have been around yet.
And it gave us Office Space, yeah.
And it gave us Office Space, so I mean, can't complain about that.
Yeah.
And this movie does have a legacy. Lana Lang was basically portrayed as she was in this movie from here on, which I think before she was basically a Lois Lane clone almost.
They would always mutate her into stuff in the Superman family comics, like a mermaid or something. That was like her bit. I mean, it would happen to Lois too, but I think it happened more with Lana Lang.
All right, well, my audio's messed up. We've done our rating. Hope everyone has a good time. Go watch Superman 3. Just skip over 2.
What? Skip over 2, man. You're harsh, man.
Yeah. You almost have to watch both of them to watch one of them, and that's 5 hours.
Yeah.
So you're better off watching this.
You know what? There is nothing in this movie that makes me mad. It makes me a little bit confused, but Superman 2 will make you a little bit mad at certain points.
Yeah, and some of that is just the politics behind the scenes, and it really hurt this movie in terms of having a chance of being successful. And somehow we got 4. So what do you know?
Oh, man.
Gotta save that for next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.